if you are a true follower of English, you know that I actually spoke to Duncan just a few seconds ago. But here we are again because we're changing a little bit focus now, because obviously Duncan's role in the leadership of CAI is obviously very of big interest for all of us that are interested in what is happening now, because I think that the journey that started with EFI now in several companies is an opportunity, but also sometimes a little bit of a challenge, basically, right?
Well, yeah, Morten, that's a great way to introduce it. With the merger of Graphic Communications with CAI, we've got a massive opportunity to really create a foundation to allow us to deliver top quality software, top quality services, and a best-in-class experience for our customers. But there's a ton of work involved, and we're in the midst of that.
Yeah, exactly, and that was actually what I was curious about, because I mean, I think that from a customer perspective, you're always like, what does all these changes, how do they influence me and my business? I mean, I know it's still early days in that CIA merger, but do you already start when you have your meetings with your management team, talking about, okay, this is where we want to end with our customers?
That's a good point, or a good question, Morten. I think a lot of the focus right now with our internal teams, so with whether it's professional services or customer support, I'm trying to get us to really be more customer focused, to get us to make a bit of a mind shift or a culture shift to where we're putting ourselves in the customer's chair or in their shoes, to really understand what are we exposing them to or asking them to do when we position something a certain way. So that's one of my key initiatives, is trying to get the folks on my different teams to really think of the customer first and understand how what they're doing is impacting the customer and the overall experience, and ultimately the success of the customer. That's what we're driving towards.
I can't help thinking about, because earlier today I spoke to a customer that has been with you for almost 30 years, right? And if you go back, and I know that you're new, so I'm not taking. But when EFI was a bigger company because it has a broader portfolio, right? But it also had a repetition of being extremely good at making sure that everything was delivered, right?
Yes.
When you get like a small entity, I know you're still like a big entity, but when you get smaller, does that makes it more difficult to make sure that you can have the same delivery experience?
I think your question around delivery experience is a fair one. Like everyone, we struggle with MIS implementation is difficult. It's one of the hardest things a company can do. And to say that we have it figured out, I don't think I can make that claim. I think we do a really good job, and we're working to improve day after day. But delivery is one of the things that I think goes hand in hand with what I talked about earlier with customer experience. We have to make sure we understand that what we're asking our customers to do during an implementation, when we're delivering services, a lot of time, like most times, they have a full-time job. It's not like they've got additional time to dedicate half of their day to working on an implementation.
Right. Yeah.
So we have to work around that and work with that, and ultimately deliver a successful implementation.
I did an interview with Brent Petersack just before the show here, and one of the things he also said that was like that as being owned by STG, basically there's good requirements of further growth, and he said the growth we need is basically based on acquisitions. And as you well know, and you have acquisitions, that's always like, you came from Avantis that is now part of this. So there's always like a lot of processes in integrating these companies. I guess that is something that, as a customer experience, I guess that you must be the one that say, hey guys, we need to make sure that we also have the existing customers on board, right?
Absolutely. So the point around acquisition and growth, it's one of the planks for our growth. Yeah. We are getting really good at integrating new companies. Like we've got a team. Yeah, we've got a team that is focused on that. Yeah. We're only going to get better at it. I think the existing customer base will be well looked after, well maintained, because we're not going to have to devote a lot of energy to the integration of the new support groups or new professional services groups. We've got a methodology, both in terms of how we deal with customers, but also in terms of how we're going to integrate them into our process. And like I said, it's going to get better and better as the more of these we do. But I'm pretty confident that we're well set up to be successful in that area.
And if you look at CAI, I mean, that is like a company that has been serving the, let's say, all the process optimizations also to other industries. So I guess that also gives you a little bit of experience on how actually to maybe even use some of your own products to help you, right?
That's an interesting point, because the way I take what you're asking is there an opportunity for us to sort of best practice share across the aisle with the CAI companies or divisions? Absolutely is, because one of the things we're doing is we're as part of this CAI merge right now, we're focused on building out a lot of infrastructure. We're going to have common platforms that all three divisions are going to work from, and it's giving us an opportunity to work directly with folks we haven't, like we've only met these folks in the last couple of months, but it's giving us the opportunity to work with leaders on their side and truly collaborate on what's a best practice look like, what's the best process for us to manage cases, what's the best process for us to set up project methodology in a project management software we're using. So I think that's only going to make us better.
And the ever recurring question when we talk about the need of merchant acquisition, does size matter?
Size always
I'm
matters.
talking about the company, of course.
Yes.
Right?
I think that only is going to help us, because as we acquire that critical mass, it enables folks like Brent to make the decisions around where we're going to invest in next. And if we're truly going to grow at the rate that he is targeting and expects, we have to invest, and that's going to be enabled by this. So I'm excited about it.
So you're not expecting to be unemployed the next couple of years, right?
Well, only if I run away. How's that?
But you don't
cut that.
Yeah, you're not that type, are you?
No. I'm here for a bit.
Yeah, I mean, because basically, I guess it must be a fantastic opportunity to be part of such a team, right?
It is. I'm really excited about the leadership team we've got here. I think my only regret is I'm not 5 years younger.
But that's a constant, isn't it?
It is.
Yeah,
it is. It'll only continue.
Fantastic. Thank you, sir.
Good talking to you.